Today we're upcycling a gallon paint bucket into a beautiful cache pot. Hi, I'm artist Marcie Ziv. Welcome to my channel. So what is a cache pot? Frequently mispronounced as cache pot, it's a French term for what is usually called in modern English a planter, namely a decorative container or an overpot for a plant, usually with no drainage holes and for indoor use. Here's a short list of materials that we're using today. Step 1 is preparing the paint bucket. First, we're going to start by cleaning the paint bucket thoroughly to remove any dirt or paint remnants. I also removed the outside handle as well as what held the handle in place, as I didn't have any use for that. Begin by coating the entire exterior of the paint bucket with the Mod Podge or your PVA glue. Then take your tissue sheets, crinkle them up, and that gives it a lot more texture and depth to the exterior, which is really what the look I was going for. Simply take your time, go around the entire exterior, developing the layers, and cover the entire exterior of the paint bucket. On this planter, I went around twice, giving the crumpled paper technique, as well as another layer, doing a more of a draping technique, as you can see here. Be certain that as you're going around the planter, draping the tissue, you want to apply sufficient amounts of glue. Completely saturate the area, and that, I guarantee you, will avoid air pockets when the piece is dry. You want it stiff, you want it hardened at the end. You don't want any air pockets. You don't want any soft tissue on the exterior of the planter. In order to create more depth as well as visual interest, I cut 4 cardboard strips of 1 inch each to go around the circumference of the top portion of the planter. Now you can make the depth and height more or less to your own aesthetics. Using a hot glue gun, I put the strips into place. I then sealed the bottom portion of the cardboard, which went around the circumference, with the glue gun as well. So here I started using the glue gun to go around the bottom portion of the circumference of carton, but honestly, I really wasn't liking the way that was working out, so I switched it up to using some caulking that I had gotten at the Dollar Tree, and that was a much cleaner look. I did that also to the top portion. As you see here, I'm taking the caulking and going around the top of the planter. And a little bit of water there helps smooth it out. There's something about elevated planters I really enjoy. Here we are going to use egg cartons. You're going to cut them up with a pair of sharp scissors or an X-Acto knife. Each of the 4 will be put on the bottom, and they will be the legs. So once again, using Mod Podge and tissue, we're going to put them into place. Paper mache the 4 cartons into place. Use plenty of tissue and plenty of PVA glue or Mod Podge. Don't be shy in putting on those layers. Make them nice and firm, and then allow it to dry completely. When the legs are dry to the touch, flip the piece over so it's standing upright and run a level across the top. If it's not level, make any corrections necessary. This is the time to do it. Now the real fun begins using the silicone molds. If you don't have the silicone molds, not a problem, I've got you covered. You can use cookie cutters, you can use cardboard shaped cutouts, and you can figure it out from there. Using the same technique that I'm doing here. It will be similar, it won't be exact obviously, because I am using the silicone mold with the air dry clay. Using a combination of the hot glue gun and the Mod Podge or your PVA glue, I used the end of my paintbrush to put my little mold into place on the planter. Just basically squish it down and seal it, making sure all the edges attach themselves to the exterior part of the planter. You really need a good bond. Let's begin the painting process. Here I'm using the color Bone Gray to lightly paint the planter exterior. However, I'm not making an opaque layer. What I'm doing is allowing some of that white tissue to peek through, giving it more of the visual depth that we're after. Because we are placing clay forms around a cylinder shape, you cannot allow the clay to dry in the silicone mold. We have to simply make an impression, and while it's damp, you lift it very carefully out of the form and glue it to the planter. This way, it will dry to the shape of the planter. Continue going around the exterior part of the planter until all your pieces are in place and you're completely satisfied with how it looks aesthetically. Check the planter one more time. Take a good hard look at it, make sure all the pieces are sealed down, making sure that everything is tight and looks really good, and then we start the painting process. I'm using a dauber, and they come in different sizes. You can get them at the Dollar Tree or various craft stores, and I'm going to brush on the highlighted or the raised pieces, I should say, of the planter. I'm going to continue this technique around the planter, giving it an aged, antiquated look. Dabbing, wiping off, dabbing. It was pretty much dabbing, and then going in with another color and continuing the process until you are satisfied with the way it looks. So after I put some layers of paint on, I went in with some mastic that I had from a tile job. I wanted to create more texture, so I wanted to add that in, and I thought it might kind of, mess it up a little bit and create even a more antiquated look. If you didn't have that product, you can also use the white paint or another color paint, whatever your choice, and mix it with a little baking soda. You'd achieve probably the same thing. Allow sufficient time in between each paint coat before going on to the next color. I'm going to finish up here with highlighting the angel's hair with the gold and bronze, as well as their musical instruments. I'll take a little bit of the molding area, and I'll also do that with a little bit of the highlighted colors as well. And now your cachepot is ready for a plant. In my case, I used a clear jar, filled it with water, and put some fresh flowers from my garden in there. Thank you so much for joining me. Have an amazing day.